Can you say good morning?
Good morning.
Good morning. And it is our virtual spirit week. So today is Pajama Day. Harper and I are participating. We also both opted for spirit buns. Yay. Are you ready to finish up Pickle-Chiffon Pie?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just review what happened yesterday because it's been a whole day. So in Pickle-Chiffon Pie, we had a king who loved his Pickle-Chiffon Pie. There he is. His daughter had a lot of friends that would come to the castle and wanted the Pickle-Chiffon Pie. So the king decided the best way to make sure he didn't have to share his Pickle-Chiffon Pie was to make sure his wife married one person.
Big.
And there's the big one, right? Do you remember what his name was?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Daddy.
He's like your daddy, huh? That's Prince Musclebum. He's tall like daddy though, so I see that where you got that. So he's one of the suitors or people trying to marry the princess. There's his horse. Then we had the next prince. Do you remember? Oh no. Yeah. Do you remember what that prince's name was?
Yeah.
What's his name? Prince Well-Read. And he would play music as well. And then the princess's very favorite. Do you remember his name?
Yeah.
What's his name?
This.
Bernard, that's him, you're right. Okay, so all the suitors went out to the forest and they are trying to find the most incredible thing that they can. So where we left off, you don't like that. Okay, we don't have to show that page then. So where we left off is where I think it's Prince Musclebum, right? He found the lion on roller skates that's juggling the root beer soda, or root beer soup. Okay, you ready for the rest of the story?
Yeah.
Goof. All right, you want to sit down so you can see?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you sit there so you can see the pictures? Sound good?
Sit here.
Sit there, okay. Are you going to be able to see?
Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, Prince Well-Read was searching too. The first day, he spied a witch who could turn people into frogs, which really wasn't so special, except that she could do it with her eyes shut and one hand behind her back. Now there's something you don't see every day, thought Well-Read. But I have 2 more days. I'll look a bit more.
Wow.
On the second day, he saw a 16-footed gazoo that had a different kind of shoe on each foot. Now there's something different, thought Well-Read. I've never seen a gazoo with more than 7 feet.
Love you.
I love you. But I have 1 more day left. I'll look a bit more. That's probably a good spot. Okay. On the third day, he came upon something really different. A giant with a green beard playing chopsticks on 2 pianos. This must surely be the most wonderful thing in the forest, cried Prince Well-Read. I've never heard that tune before. He cleverly told the giant what a fine piano player he was and talked him into going back to the castle to play for the king. Now, let's not forget Prince Bernard. He was searching too. On the first day, he met an ogre so ugly that he scared the leaves right off the trees. Now there's something you don't see every day, thought Bernard. But he might frighten the princess if I brought him back. I have 2 more days. I'll look a bit more.
What's that?
That's an ogre, kind of like a giant. Okay. On the second day, he discovered a tiny house tucked behind a tree. He peeked in and saw that it was filled with mice, all busily painting the most wonderful pictures. Now there's something different, thought Bernard. But it really wouldn't be right to stop such happy, hard-working little fellows right in the middle of their work. I have 1 more day. I'll look a bit more. Look at the mice painting their pictures. It's silly. On the third day, he saw something really different. A 3-nosed snoozle with fuzzy ears and an orange polka dot necktie. And it was busy making Pickle-Chiffon Pie. Do you want to sit down, Lovey, so that everyone can see on the film? Here, you sit on your booty.
And sit here.
You want to sit there? Okay. "This must surely be the most wonderful thing in the whole forest," he cried. "I thought the queen was the only one who could make pickle-chiffon pie. Oh, the king will be so happy." You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. With that, he grabbed the Snoozle's necktie and started leading it back toward the castle. Prince Bernard had never been happier in his whole life. It was hard work pulling the three-nosed Snoozle through the forest, but Prince Bernard didn't mind. He was sure he would win the contest to marry the princess. But he wasn't quite so happy when he saw how sad the Snoozle looked. "Don't feel bad," said Bernard. "You'll like living in the palace. It's much nicer than the dark old forest. And anyway, I have to take you back in order to marry the princess."
Oh, it's sad.
It's sad. Yeah.
No, go.
You don't want it to go?
No.
Okay, well, let's find out what happens. Then Bernard noticed several tiny Snoozles peering out from behind the trees. Where are the baby Snoozles? I know, crying. Where's the babies? Do you see the babies? Yeah, how many babies? Can we count them all? 1,
2, 3.
Good. Can you sit down so we can all see? Good girl. I know. "Why aren't they cute?" he said. Are they your children?" The three-nosed Snoozle nodded with big, wet tears coming into its eyes. "What will happen to them when you're gone? Do they have anyone to take care of them?" The Snoozle shook its head sadly. I know. I think there will be a happy ending, don't worry. Prince Bernard sat down on a log to think. He thought of his love for the princess. He thought of the Snoozle's love for its children. For a long time, it was very quiet and still in the forest. Finally, with a sigh, the prince let go of the Snoozle's necktie and watched it scamper off. Then he turned and walked slowly back toward the castle. His 3 days were up. When all the princes were called to appear before the king, Musclebaum had a big smile on his face. He was sure he would win with his juggling lion. Well-Red was smiling too. He was just as sure that he would win when the king heard the giant playing his 2 pianos. Bernard hung his head sadly as he stood empty-handed behind the others. The king was delighted with Musclebaum's lion. "Wonderful," he cried as the lion juggled 23 apples and a bottle of ketchup.
Bottle ketchup.
Ketchup, that's ketchup. See it?
That's it.
That's silly. And when Well-Red's giant played chopsticks on his 2 pianos, the king laughed and clapped his hands with delight. "How wonderful," he cried. "So unusual." Then he turned to Bernard. "And what have you brought back?" he asked. Prince Bernard bowed low before the king. He hoped that no one would notice the tears in his eyes as he raised his head and said softly, "Nothing, Your Majesty." He told of meeting the ugly ogre who might have frightened the princess. He told of seeing the amazing mice whose paintings he could not bring himself to interrupt. He told of the tiny Snoozle children that he could not bear to leave in the forest alone. There was silence in the castle. No one spoke for a long time. Bernard wished that he could run and hide. Everyone was looking at him, all except the princess and the queen. They were whispering to the king. I love you. The king nodded his head and smiled. "Bernard," he said in a loud voice, "you have won the right to marry the princess." But why, Your Majesty? I didn't bring back anything," said Bernard. "Oh, yes, you did, my son," said the king. "You brought back a story of kindness and love and consideration for others. Truly the most wonderful thing of all. You'll make a fine husband for my daughter." When Bernard married the princess, Well-Red's giant played the wedding march, and Musclebaum's lion put on a special exhibition to entertain the guests.
You sit here by that.
Okay. And guess who sent Bernard and the princess the biggest Pickle-Chiffon pie anyone ever saw for a wedding present? That's right, the three-nosed snoozle with the fuzzy ears and the orange polka dot tie. And that's the end. All right, you said you wanted to show everyone your pockets. Do you want to show them real quickly before we say goodbye?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to stand up so everyone can see? Okay, show them how your pockets work. All right, do you want to say bye?
Bye.